to Practical Magic Musings, the show where you get rituals and wisdom for your most magical life. I'm your host, Cassandra Bodzak, and today we are chatting about the full moon in Taurus. I am sitting there for you guys listening on the podcast and not watching on YouTube, in my comfy sweater with one of my favorite mugs, which is white and gold, and it's all very cozy tourist vibes. Yeah, for you guys listening on the podcast, you can, if you like to see my face, catch most of the episodes on YouTube as well, and get the visual download. So let's talk about this full moon in Taurus right after 11/11. I feel like I've done a ton of podcasts in the past few days, but there's just so much going on, and I want to share everything with you. And I know that something that I have craved in the past was a podcast where I can listen to this when I'm getting dressed, when I'm driving somewhere. I feel like sometimes there's so many great YouTube videos on astrology and even more great articles on astrology. But oftentimes we just want something, that we can kind of get the hit, get the download. So that's why I do these on the podcast. And of course, like I said, they are available on YouTube. But anyway, Taurus will move on the kind of edge of this 11/11 wave, which we talked about in the last podcast. And it's a lot of energy. The past 2 nights I haven't been sleeping. I've gotten a lot of DMs from other people who haven't been sleeping. And there's just a lot of energy moving through. There's a lot of up leveling to be had right now. I've had a lot of thoughts that happened yesterday. We're coming on this 11/11 cuff, which is also having us leave our past selves behind, leave a former a former identity behind, right? And fully step into this new evolution of ourselves. And I've been thinking about this also because this is a lot of what I'm midwifing my ladies through in Divinely You, which the first module dropped this week, and we still have a couple days left for applications and enrollment. So you have a few days if you want to get on that. If you're feeling like you want that midwifing, like you want that roadmap and that support and that guidance stepping into this new relationship with yourself with more worth and confidence and radiance, I highly suggest you check that out, or check out some of the other podcasts where I really talk in depth about it. It resonates a lot with this Taurus full moon, and that's honestly just because I'm so connected to the moons that I don't even plan it. And every time I launch a program, there's always, I feel like it was when it was Practical Magic, I think it was the new moon. It was the new moon in Pisces. I want to say, I forgot, but it was like the most practical. No, it was a new moon in Virgo. It was a Practical Magic moon that I remember. And so a lot of times that happens. I don't plan that. A lot of people do plan that kind of stuff. For me, I know my body is just so in tune with the moons because I do this stuff, because I'm always channeling for you guys about the moons, that the offerings that I put out and the things that I'm talking about are always so connected to the lunar energy, because it's just how I work, right? So this Taurus full moon actually does resonate with a lot of the stuff that you've probably been hearing me talk about if you've been watching my Instagram stories, or to even tuning into the podcast around Divinely You, because it's very lining up. I just meditated on this Taurus full moon after looking at the astrology, and that's kind of how I do these podcasts. And a full moon is this time of culmination. It's this time of completion. It's a crescendo, so to speak, right? It's like this heightened point for us to be able to see something, realize something, finish something, complete something. And sometimes when we think about full moons, we also think about that letting go. So I think a lot of the energy of the 11/11, of us shedding that old version of ourselves, is now going to carry over a little bit into today and the next few days. I really believe this whole week is really going to be energetically packed for us. It will wind down a little bit come Thursday and Friday, but there's a lot of energy moving this week. So we're going to be processing it, right? Because it's kind of like, if you think about it, the seed gets planted or the shift happens, or the energetic move may have happened yesterday or today, but now it's kind of working its process, right? It's almost like if you take, this is kind of a weird analogy because I'm not a big medicine person, but if if you take like, let's say, like an antibiotic or something your doctor gives you, right? A lot of times they'll tell you, oh, it's going to take like 3 hours to kick in. I don't know, it's been years since I took antibiotics, so it's probably, so maybe that's outdated from the 90s when I was taking. But if you think about that, like if we took the pill, so to speak, today or tomorrow, the moon pill or the 1111 pill, it's starting to unravel, right? We're starting to see things. We're starting to see what no longer fits in our life and what we need to let go of, what identities of ourself that we need to shed, as we step into this next evolution of ourselves, right? That 1111 was this portal to this new evolution of ourselves, and the Taurus full moon is like on the back of it, right? So it's like they're working in conjunction, these energies, and a lot of times I actually got a question the other day about how Mercury retrograde plays into this, and if Mercury retrograde was going to sabotage 1111 or anything like that. And no, they actually all work in harmony. Mercury retrograde, we get a bad rap because we think, oh, technology doesn't work, traveling is difficult, like, weird things happen in communication, exes text you at the night, in the middle of the night. But truly, Mercury in retrograde is a time, I always think of retrograde as like remembering, reflecting, slowing down and actually kind of taking a look. The reason those X's come back in the middle of the night is for you to reflect and then make a new choice, right? For you to handle it differently somehow. For you to, the reason that things come back during that time is for that rumination, right? That reflection period. So it actually, I think, coincides perfectly and will be supportive of this energy, because yeah, there might be some things that come back, or even when we think about having to be more intentional around our communication when Mercury's retrograde. Again, it's that intentionality, that reflection, that, what am I really saying? Is this what I really want to say? When we worry about technology or travel or anything like that during Mercury retrograde, again, it's asking us to slow down. Hey, slow down. Can you triple check when you book those airline tickets? If so, you're good. Can you, are you going to be, maybe you can hold off in that electronic purchase, right? Which again is going to slow us down, make us really tune in. Do we really want this electronic purchase? Maybe we're going to research it more, right? Think of all the words or retrograde words: research, reflect, remember. And so I think it coincides with this energy. A little riff on that for those of you who I'm sure were thinking about that as well. And so Taurus comes in here with this full moon energy, and whew, I honestly think it's really beautiful after 1111, where we can have this kind of cosmic gateway where all of our energy is vibrating, and now you have this beautiful earthy Taurus grounding vibe that's gonna, like, I just, I have this visualization of kind of like this heavy rock like hitting the soil and just like boom, and just like sinking into it, like allowing ourselves to sink into ourself. And what really came through for me last night was how we are our own fortress in the middle of the storm, in the middle of the war, so to speak, right? We are our safe haven. And this full moon in Taurus, I think, is grounding us back into that, right? We, on so many levels, we give our power away. We try to control things. We try to manifest things in a controlling way sometimes. We want this to happen. We want that to happen. We are engaged in outward outcomes, and we can't control them. And I think a lot of us have probably seen that. I know I certainly experienced that in my personal life the past couple days, that I really had to surrender the way I thought some things were going to play out, the way I thought some things were going to look. and the idea that I had of what I wanted to happen, right? And realize that in those moments, you know, the magic and the manifesting and all that, it kind of falls to the wayside, and we have to ground down into our earth suit, right? Into our physical being, into our presence here, into the core of who we are, right? We have to be our own sanctuary in those moments, because you can't always control what happens to you. I mean, I read up yesterday about how the CEO of Kaiser Permanente passed away in his sleep at 60. My boyfriend woke up today about, one of his patients from a while ago, so it wasn't related to any of his surgeries, but she had passed away too in her sleep. And I've had, the death always kind of brings me to the ultimate lack of control, right? Knowing that we never know, right? But the same thing on lesser, lighter notes, right? You could think of, you don't know, how many days I remember back in my younger years, when I would be dating someone, I would think everything was going great, and then it would fall apart the next day, right? When, if you've ever gotten laid off from a job, right? There's so many things in life that we have to surrender our control to. That doesn't matter if you are the wizard of the world, the witch of the west, or whatever, all powerful magical being. You have to surrender to divine timing, into the way life works, into the cycle of life. And as we move through this earthly incarnation that we signed up here for, our greatest sanctuary and our solitude is in our own being, and Taurus, if you think about the energy of Taurus, the grounded earthly energy of Taurus reminds us of what we value, of our worth. It is that, like, kind of stubborn, grounded energy, but in a good way. When I think about that, the stubbornness of Taurus, it's the immovability of Taurus. It's the I am a fortress here. You can't shake me. And I think it's reminding us to get back to that the outside conditions in your life are always going to be in flux. But we decide how safe we are in our earth home, in our body, in our mind, in our soul. Is our relationship with ourself a place where we can get shelter from the storm? Are we grounded enough in who we are, right? And this is literally, this is what this whole Divinely You group program is about, which is why I'm like, couldn't have planned this better, right? But it's reminding us of that, right? It's reminding us of that this, having a complicated relationship, like I like to say, with your body or your being, having self-doubt, not being sure of yourself, playing small, feeling uncomfortable on some level in your physical body, your earth suit, which is part of your earthly incarnation here, and your being, right? This is what I've been, kind of talking about. You've heard me talk about with this Divinely You program, because that's what we're healing. That's what we're working on. And sometimes we can think, and I've gotten this feedback from people like, oh, well, if someone doesn't, have a tremendous pain around that, if someone isn't in the throes of an eating disorder or feeling like intense self-hatred, then are they really going to be inspired to do that work to shift it, right? And here's the thing. This is your home we're talking about here. And I think this is what the Taurus full moon is saying. This is your home we're talking about here. Are you gonna wait until, like, let's think about your physical home, right? Let's pretend you have like a physical little cabin on a hill, right? We all have physical little cabins on our hill. This is symbolic of the relationship between our body and our being. This is symbolic of the shelter that we provide ourselves, the security, the safety, all that beautiful, grounded, earthly Taurus energy we can give ourselves. And Taurus does rule the home, right? Taurus is, it's that home energy. And so if we, what, are we going to wait until the hurricane takes the whole house down to start rebuilding? Are we going to start to notice the roofs, like the shingles are falling off the roof? Are we going to start to notice the paint's cracking? That, that the window doesn't shut all the way, right? And the truth is when you realize the importance and the magnitude and the gift that having your home in perfect order gives you, that's when you show up for the repairs. That's when you realize that taking care of that, you can't control if a tornado is going to hit your little village. You can't, metaphorically speaking here, you can't control if there's going to be a bad thunderstorm, but what you can do is make sure your roof's strong. Right? Because when that thunderstorm hits, if your roof is strong, you're going to be chilling by the fireplace with some tea. You're going to be hanging out. You're going to be okay. And if you haven't done those report pairs, and if you haven't cleared up that relationship, then yeah, you're going to be SOL, right? You're going to be in trouble. And so I think this Taurus full moon is bringing us back to that. It's grounding us in a really beautiful way that I think a lot of us need right now. Where, we've maybe had a lot of energy that has us spinning in different circles, and we've maybe had a lot of things that we're moving through and emotional storms that we've been navigating. But if we can take care of our home, take care of our earth suit, take care of our relationship with our body and our being, and we can weather whatever life's going to throw at us, then we can harness. And Taurus is also, it's a feminine sign. So it's about harnessing those feminine gifts, right? And the feminine gifts are magnetism, are radiance, are being able to attract instead of pursue, instead of chase, right? And so it's giving us this message, I really believe, that when we ground ourselves down in our value and our worth, and we take care of things at home. And so what that means is taking care of your mental health. Maybe that's meditation. Maybe that's going to see a therapist or seeing a coach. Whatever maybe it's doing EFT. Taking care of your mental health, taking care of your spiritual health, showing up for your spiritual practice, right? Showing up for whatever that looks like to you, what your religion is, what your practice is, whatever that looks like for you. Taking care of your physical health, right? Making sure that you're putting nourishing foods in your body, making sure that you're getting enough sleep, making sure that you're honoring whatever it is your body is calling for at this time, right? And through honoring those different houses that we live in this lifetime, right? That's how we ground ourselves in our value and our worth. That is how we then become the sanctuary amidst the storm. So it's leaning on this, right? It's leaning us that when we are connected to our true value, our true worth, when we are taking care of home, we're the mountain. We are strong and grounded and powerful like a mountain. And we can stay there in our majesty and our glory and know that we will overcome. We will overcome whatever is going on. And that allows us to powerfully attract the things that are meant for us. Right? When the full moon here is giving us this powerful reminder, right? That your safety, your security, these are things that we often look for in external things, right? We think, oh, when I have the partner, when I'm married or whatever it is, then I'll be secure in my love life. When I own that house, then I'll be secure in my shelter. When I'm making X amount of money, then I'll be secure financially. And this Taurus full moon is coming and kind of slapping us with a frying pan and saying, "Hey guys, you'll never feel secure with those external things unless you feel secure with yourself." So that's my full moon in Taurus message for you. Things I would do today include grounding if you can. Walking on some dirt, walk on some grass, walk on the beach. Ground yourself in Mother Nature. That will help you balance out any energies that are moving through. It'll also help you sleep better if you're struggling with sleep. Take Epsom salt baths. Allow whatever energy to move through you. And again, if you are feeling an excess amount of energy, doing physical activity, sweating it out, moving it out, will help you process things. As always, of course, with Taurus, you might feel inclined. I know I'm certainly going to do this today to clean around the house. Full moons, you might want to throw some stuff out, release, let go of things that are no longer resonating with this new version of you that's come up. Um, and you want to be eating grounding, nourishing foods. So think root vegetables, things hearty things like oatmeal and squash and things that are really going to ground you. So, yeah. So, and meditate, of course, meditate, journal. We're in such an energetically potent time. Be gentle with yourself and the things that are moving through for you right now. Get support or love or guidance on the things that you feel called to. This is a massive up leveling that we're moving through right now this week with all of these energies combined. So do what it takes to support yourself. And, like I said, for those of you that are still thinking about Divinely You, there's a few days left to get your application in. Don't hesitate. We already have the first modules up, and the ladies are, getting clear on their vision and manifesting during this powerful week this week with all the energies. And we're doing this deep work. Like, we're literally doing this kind of Taurus full moon work where we're becoming the mountain, where we are getting clear with our worth and our value and making peace with our home, making peace with our earth suit, with our physical being, and with that, our being in general, right? So that we can really connect to that true value, to that true worth, and be the radiant, magnetic goddesses that we came to this planet to be. So I hope that you check out the links below, read more information about that. You can check out the frequently asked questions episode right before this one if you're intrigued to hear more while you're on the podcast, and get your application in ASAP. What a beautiful day to do it on this Taurus full moon. All right, I love you guys. And as always, if you love this podcast, you can give me 5 stars and leave a comment. It really does help other awesome divine beings like you find it and get this resources. And I do all of this for free, for fun. So it is also a beautiful way to just say thank you. It means the world to me when I see your reviews. So thank you so much.